Hi, everybody. Today is May 27th, and this is the meeting for the Kids Code Organization. We are going to keep today light and informal. So we'll just talk whatever comes to mind, and if needed, then we don't have like a formal agenda for today. So we can do what everybody wants to do. So let's get started with Arsh, top left on my screen. Hi, Arsh.
Hi everyone. I have nothing in particular to discuss. I was just here to see you. One thing that now comes to mind is that updating the Prometheus Common PR which are raised. So do we like wait for those folks to cut down the junk they brought in? And
yes, we are not going to touch it. So this is like the carrot and the stick. We're going to tell them that we are not going to merge anything until they fix it on their end. However, one thing that you could do, Arsh, is in the Prometheus Common repository, in their Go mod, add a replace with the link to the new directory, gokit/log. Do you know what I'm talking about? No. So
I'm partially following through.
Yeah, the gokit folks stripped out one directory and they created a separate repository with a separate go mod file, and it's called go-kit/log, right? And the Prometheus common still refers to the main gokit repository. So add a replace and see if everything works, and create a work in progress PR pointing to the new repository, which is gokit log. If you can't figure out, just ping me and I'll walk you through it. Yep. Okay. So this is like forcing the function and telling the Prometheus common folks like, look, we got to do this. So here is a PR that uses the new repository instead of the old repository kind of thing. Okay. Okay. So that's good. Eddie, did you have anything today that you wanted to talk about?
No.
No. Okay. Well, there was one thing that I wanted to talk to you about at some point was we got to push the SIG release folks to come up with a plan for when kubectl gets out. Command/kubectl getting out into the kubectl repository, Kubernetes/kubectl, right? So how would then kubectl be included in the Kubernetes release? Right?
Yeah, so, that's a good question.
So we need a plan for that. And the simplest plan that I can think of is we would vendor in kubectl. And then the KK will look in the Go mod and just pick up whatever is in there, right? And then we would update, just like we update any other things that we vendor. That would be the simplest way to do it. But let's see. I mean, we have to write it down and we should propose it.
Yeah, I know Maciej's been handling all of that. I don't know where we stand. I think most of it is actually out. I think we have very few things left blocking it.
Yeah, but this is the last thing that we'll have to do. So the idea here is kubectl should have its own release cadence, and one specific version of kubectl we will include in KK, just like cAdvisor, just like etcd. So same fashion. Okay, so check with Maciej and see if we can write something up. I want to make progress. Like I want to make some progress because this has been stuck forever. So so check with him, please.
Well, that's nice because I have a bunch of things that I need to break right now. So
sounds good. Hey, Mike. Naveed, go for it.
So you mentioned like we would vendor kubectl as any other dependency. So does this mean like the releases will need to be then in order? Like for kubectl needs to go first so that their release version can then be vendored into KK?
Nope. Kubectl will have its own independent cadence.
Mm-hmm.
and we would just pick up the newest kubectl when we make KK release.
Awesome.
This should be just like containerd, just like runc, just like etcd, no difference.
That's going to make version skew very, very difficult.
That's why I'm saying we should write it up so we'll know what the pros and cons are, right? Naveed, does that answer your question?
Yep, it does. Yep, sure. I'm just recording it in the notes as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mike, did you have anything to talk about today specifically?
No, I was just coming in and see how things are going. I know there's been a lot of this kind of discussion happening.
All right.
I needed to check in and see what's going on.
Yeah.
I think this version skew stuff is just going to get more and more complicated. We probably need to start requesting some of our vendor tools to provide a version information for the version of Kubernetes that they support. For example, if I do a containerd version, I should be able to see, yeah, it's runc 95, it's containerd, here, and then Kubernetes here, right? Because we're being used more and more, of course, but yeah, I think the version skew is going to be an issue.
Right.
Certainly, we can also show. We already show. I think the CRY version. I had to go check, but given that if we're rendering that, which one do we? I think we want to support more than one CRY version at a time now. I got to do that PR, but yeah, I don't know. And then there's there's a lot of reorganization that's going to need to happen for confidential computing. So I was wanting to check in to see how things were going in that context.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, that would be signaled.
Sorry, I'm not trying to throw a grenade into your meeting. I'm just,
yep, it's not here. Here
Not
we
here.
talk about dependencies and stuff.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
So in terms of we've kind of like stopped containerd updating its own gRPC versions. So we are trying to unblock that. So the latest.
Yeah. Okay, good. Can we talk? I was like, wait a minute, I'm broke again. What? Oh, gRPC changed again. Oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that front, what we ended up doing was we were stuck because etcd was not able to update its own gRPC version. So between etcd and containerd and KK, we had this mismatch cycle.
We always, whenever we always try to keep up with the Kubernetes gRPC. When right. You change it, we change it really quick, so we're not busted. But now that you're running us in test, you got that, which comes first, right? The gRPC or the egg.
So right now the plan is etcd 3.5 will have newer gRPC.
All
and
right.
We are currently testing beta 3 of 3.5 in Kubernetes. We found some problems, so we are working with the etcd folks to get it fixed. So the idea will be 1.2.2 will release with newer gRPC and 3.5 etcd.
Okay, are you or somebody else already pushing a gRPC update in containerd so you can do the same thing?
Yeah, no need to do that right now.
No need?
So, yeah, okay. We will. So let's get a good tag on etcd first, and then we'll do the containerd. So, so on that front, we still have to deal with HCS Shem and the runc one has kind of settled down with the RC95. So we're going to do that for sure. Okay, so runc, HCS Shem, containerd version, those kinds of things need to get updated in C advisor, and then the whole enchilada will move to KK. So that's the sequence. So yeah, not a problem. The other one, I don't know if did containerd already move to latest pause image 3.5?
I don't think so.
Okay, we made the change last week here, so we can go and do the same change in containerd. and get it ready for the next release. Okay. That's about it with respect to containerd. So Mr. Delorme, how do I say your name? I'm sorry.
Gauthier.
Okay, that's hard for me. I'll try.
Yeah, it's a very French name. Like I know it's hard, but
Yeah.
it's fine. You can, I mean, I don't mind how you pronounce it. So feel free to say it however you want.
I can try. Gauthier.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good.
Close, close.
Yeah.
So I know I saw your interest in that PR from Paco with respect to having a set of dependencies that are forbidden and having some that we are trying to like keep out.
Yeah, I chatted a bit with him, and I'm now like helping like to review like the PR.
Can you recap for everybody here what you've done there?
So basically, the goal is, so there are two goals. The first one is to have a way to state like we don't want specific dependencies in Kubernetes. Mostly that's dependencies we removed from KK, and we don't want them to come back. A good example recently is Go Open API spec, for example, or like other Go API project, but also like the old version of Klog and some like Go MongoDB driver, like some weird dependencies like that.
Yeah.
The other side of the PR, like of the change, is to be able to specify what dependency we have today, but we don't want in the future, basically. Mm-hmm. And today, I think it's only like the dependency you were talking about earlier with Arch, that Go Git dependency, Go Kit dependency. Yep. So yeah, that's what we are working on right now.
So
Can you link?
Go ahead, Ash.
Can you link the GitHub PR you were talking about?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I haven't looked at Paco's PR yet, but one additional thought that I had was we need to have a way to say that we shouldn't go to an older version of something that we already use a new version for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, I mean, you're talking about like major version changes, right? Are you just talking about like the version? Because like, like in Go, like when you change like the major version, it actually like changes like the module name, right?
I'll give you a very specific example.
Yeah.
So today we are stuck on a specific version of gRPC, right?
Yes.
And we are going to move to a newer version. And I don't want to any future updates to go back to the older version of gRPC.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we need a way to express that in whatever files that we come up.
Did it happen before already, like in KK?
Yeah, it has happened before, where not specifically with gRPC. We've had other places where people were updating something, and we so there was a time when we were not paying too much attention to the dependencies, and we were basically a boatload of dependencies were getting in, and most of the dependencies didn't even have tags. But for the last year or two, we've been paying attention to exactly what we are vendoring in, and we ended up requesting the containerd folks to break some pieces apart. We requested the Docker folks to break some things apart. We cleaned up how C advisor is structured. And plenty of other things. Like there was even a dependency loop between containerd and Kubernetes. So we broke that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of work that was done to like streamline the dependencies and then make sure that we go to tagged versions. And one example of a problem we used to have before was runc we were using a SHA. Containerd was using a SHA. And then Kubernetes was using a SHA. And so if there was a problem in runc, then just figuring out like how many places you have to fix and not fix was a problem. So we ended up pushing for like using a specific tag, and we are trying to hold the line on like when new dependencies are coming in, we are basically telling them, no, we are not going to just throw a random SHA. You need to give us a tag. So
yeah, I remember that because the first time we talked together, actually, it was exactly the case. Like,
right,
because I made a change upstream to Go Open API spec, and
right.
they did like a release, but they
Yeah.
included like a bunch of like dependency changes. So I wanted to pin the SHA, and you told me no, it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So we are trying to do that a little bit.
Oh, that's good. I like the effort.
Right. So in the process, we are doing other things like cleaning up licenses and keeping track of what we drag in as well. So anyway, long story, but yeah, so the point here is like, let's try to see what else we could be doing in that PR, and the main focus would be, I'm still debating whether we should, like for any of the dependencies, we should allow a regression to an older version or not. And but then at least we should start with making sure that we can specify, don't go back to an older version of gRPC. If not, at least that dependency.
Because I could see how sometimes it's legit to go back because like some like bad change like happened or something like that.
Yeah.
Like someone released like a minor version change and it was actually like a breaking change or like this kind of stuff, right? Like,
yeah. That happened with the YAML repository, for example.
Exactly. Yeah.
We couldn't go to the newer version, and we had to like get them to create a branch and backport something, revert something, and give us a new tag there. So yeah, that is something that I would like to express. So,
okay.
Just work with Paco and see if we can get that on. Okay.
James, do you know, was there something new in gRPC that we needed to pick up, or?
Yes, Mike. In Containerd, there was some error propagation we wanted to do, and that was only in the newer version of gRPC. And we basically held back at least one PR or two PRs regarding that. I'll dig that up and I'll point them to you.
James, like, do you really want like to block like Paco PR on this? Because it seems like the kind of stuff like we can add like in a follow-up PR, or right?
Can you repeat that?
Do you want to block like Paco PR on this request, like this new like basically issue? Because like, okay.
Yeah, the idea here is when somebody opens a Go mod change, we should just tell them right away that this is no good, right? You are doing something wrong, and we don't even want to spend cycles reviewing it because we know that we're going to say no, right? So the early, like for example, like in the China time zone, if Paco does a PR, right away he gets like a thumbs down on it saying like, we don't allow this, you are going back. Yeah, so it's just for that, to save some review time.
Yeah, just like, yeah. Seems like a bit risky to me, like even for gRPC, like if in the future, like we do like an upgrade and then we want to roll it back, yeah, it will still like, it will fail, right? Yeah,
we should always have like a safety valve somehow, or maybe we'll remove the line, get it merged and add it back, something like that. But anyway, let's see how that PR shapes up from Paco.
All right, I will follow up with him to see how can we do it.
Thank you. What else are you working on
right now?
The Go API.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm not working on the Go API project actually. Like
Go API, you were doing a bunch of things, right? That got done.
Yeah. So the Go API change, it was actually because of an issue I hate, like at work, like in Kubernetes, like when you submit like a CRD and you get like the error because like the format is not right, the value was always empty. like the bad value was empty. It was an empty string, which is like bad because it says like, oh, this value doesn't respect this regex, but it doesn't show like the value. So it's hard like for the consumer of the error to understand what was like the bad value. So that's why I made like all those changes upstream, like in Go API, and then like in Cube API and in Cube Open API later. But right now I'm not working on like any like Go Open API project.
Sounds good. Are you working on anything else in Kubernetes?
Not right now, not currently.
Okay. Well, thanks for spending your time with us then.
Yeah.
Okay. Kirsten, did you have anything to talk about today?
Oh, no, I just never joined this meeting. So I thought it would be great to drop in and see what people were talking about because it's been on my calendar, but I've never had time before. So I'm just spying.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Yeah, this meeting, we just talk about like things that we need to clean up, move around, maintenance, that kind of things, rather than any specific features for any SIGs. So what we were talking about was like updating the Go dependencies, because this is a good time in the cycle to update dependencies, because code freeze, feature freeze is going to come, code freeze is going to come, and then we can't make any changes, right? Like, so the earlier we make all the changes that we need for going to a newer version of dependencies, the more bake time it's going to have in the CI jobs, so we can spot any errors and mistakes, those kinds of things. So some of the things happening here is like we are trying to do an HCD upgrade, and then we were talking about like the containerd run C upgrades and things like that. So that's what we do here in this meeting.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's a really great idea to have a forum to discuss these specific things as opposed to sort of feature specific things. So yeah, this is really cool to listen in on.
Yeah, thank you. What were you pointing to, Mike?
There's another pull request coming in for OpenTelemetry to modify the version of gRPC that we're using inside the containerd. I'm just saying, I was like, wait a minute, I thought I saw something. Oh, yep, there's one. So heads up, there may be more than one reason, to be upgrading gRPC coming forward.
Yeah, what a tangled web we weave, right?
Well, hey, if you want to trace, you gotta weave it tightly, right? I guess that's what's going on here. I was checking. So return values and tracing would be two reasons to upgrade gRPC.
There was an effort to add OpenTelemetry to KK as well. I don't think, at least at the end of 121.
So we might not have to move this far up. I didn't check what version that we needed.
No, we haven't merged that yet, as far as I know. So this
okay.
Is you can go first.
Don't worry about it. You're saying I'm sorry. I keep worrying though.
Yeah, you can go first as long as
well, if we go first, then we need a situation where you're not running on our master anymore.
Right, but remember,
you have to be on 152. Yeah.
If you contain the changes to the main.go, then we don't have to worry about it, Mike.
True.
Right.
But then we'd have to be building on two versions, one for the CRI API.
Right. Anyway,
yeah,
we'll cross that bridge. So the other thing that I wanted to ask you, Mike, was there any larger changes that are coming down the pipe from containerd, from the meeting that happened this morning?
Yeah. Well, we're going to put that sandbox change in that's going to come. We haven't yet decided how we're going to handle the kata changes that are being requested, but I think that's definitely going to affect kubelet. Today when kubelet ensures images, it does so in the context of the pod that needs those images ensured, but it doesn't pass to the image services the pod information, right? I think we're going to have to change that if we want to allow a runtime to do the polls for the pod, then we're going to have to add some cry changes. So that would be cry API changes.
That doesn't sound like anything is going to change in terms of like there is containerd is going to run as a service, containerd is going to have a gRPC API. And
right. I mean, we did discuss such things.
okay. So it's hidden behind the covers and there is no extra. So the things that we worry about in this call.
Your voice
Is like, are there extra binaries? Are there extra things that need to be built or shipped? Hi. So in this call, we worry about like, are there extra binaries, extra services to run, those kinds of things. So that doesn't sound like anything like that.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we haven't got that far on the confidential computing side, and yeah, even you'll see a little bit less. You know, so we're going to go to the sandbox, so I'll refactor the cry code so that when you run a pod, we'll actually be able to use the sandbox code underneath the covers and not have to have a pause container. So I guess from a code organization perspective, I think we're going to end up losing the pause containers. But I've been seeing some features coming in and out of that. So we need to make sure that whatever's happening there, insofar as a pause containers that you can hook in, that we're doing that more at the V2 shim API layer, that or at the pod, the run pod layer or update pod layer. Services in cry if we can do it there. So maybe try to start rejecting pause container changes. might be a good idea. Yeah, I think we're going to go that route, but we'll go ahead and accept the sandbox changes, then we'll refactor cry. Of course, I have to refactor cry to be able to support 2 cry APIs at the same time as well. So we have 2 major cry, refactoring things going on.
Okay. Sounds good. So that's all I had for everybody. I did ping folks from AWS, Azure, GCP, and vSphere to update their dependencies. So let's see how that goes. If they respond, if they don't respond, at some point we'll have to, roll up our sleeves and do it ourselves. I don't want to do that yet. So if we want to do that at some point, I'll come up with like a umbrella issue with a list of checked items, and we can like spread the load around and get everybody to file some changes and watch the CI jobs and see where we go from there. Okay. So
one thing, what's the announcement about the new group, like which is the first item on agenda?
I added that this is for this is for SNCC scanning. So we need to add a secret, and we now created a group at kubernetes.io to be able to rotate the secret ourselves so that we get access there. So just want to put a one-liner there that this is in place now.
So Naveed, is the CI job already running?
The CI jobs require external secret CRD to be running in build cluster, which Aaron is working on. So it's currently on Aaron. So once the external secret CR is running in the build cluster, then we'll be able to create the CRs and then have the CI job consuming it. So CI job PR is open. It's just waiting for Aaron to have that external secret CR in place.
Okay. Then the other question I had for you, Naveed, is did you run a SIG scan recently? Did anything new come out?
The last time I ran, I got a CNI update, but I'll just run it again and see if there is new things.
Right. We should probably run it every week at least, and by hand until the CI job lands.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So thanks a lot, everyone. See you all in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.